Hello and welcome to Desert Island Films, Episode 2. Now, as you might or might not be aware, the format of this is basically I invite a guest every week or every fortnight or every month to go out and invite them onto my Desert Island, but the conditions are they need to bring 8 films with them and 2 films that they haven't seen. So 8 films that they've seen with great watchability effect as such, or films they can watch over and over, and 2 that they haven't seen but they really should have seen before now. So my guest, without further ado, is the fantastic, one of the fat bastards, Chris Ashankt. Chris,
Two-thirds of the 2 fat bastards, in fact.
2/3. You are definitely the better third. The better 2/3. How are you, Chris?
I'm alright, mate. I'm alright. I've just finished up a busy 2 weeks of work. Although I was expecting my Xbox One to turn up today, and it hasn't. So a little bit disappointed. But it fit in nicely because I knew I was doing this with you. So
excellent. I like flattering. That's good. So yes. If you don't know. Obviously, if you don't know, you haven't been watching Chris's videos, and what the hell are you doing not watching Chris's videos? Chris, you've won an Xbox One?
Yeah.
Okay, can you tell us how you won that Xbox One?
Not on YouTube.
Okay. Right. Who did you sleep with to get the Xbox One?
My wife.
Result. No better way to win one. So that's Chris, right. You know the format. Basically, you give me 8 films and then 2 that you really should have seen.
Right, yeah.
You really shouldn't have seen by now. You really should have seen by now. I'm fucking this up already. You really should have seen by now, but you haven't got around to them and really should. So
do you want them in any order? Do you want them like
any order you want? It's basically 8 films, or you can give them to me in order, but it's any 8 films, any order, just as long as those 2 are right at the end. Okay. Cool. So if you're ready, we will start with film number 1.
Easy.
Desert Island.
It's the first film that came to my head when I was thinking about this today, actually. I made a quick list at work and then emailed it to myself, and that's Trainspotting.
Oh, what a brilliant film.
Brilliant film. Trainspotting led me to read all of Irvine Welsh's novels, like Ecstasy, Glue, Skag Boys, the most recent one, Marabou Stalk, Nightmares, all of them. Filth, True Confessions of a Bedroom Master Chef or something like that. I don't know. That was a bit of a weird one, which was basically just Irvine Welsh taking the piss out of Gordon Ramsay.
Excellent.
But Trainspotting wasn't his first film. He did a short set of films before that, but it just never took off. But this Trainspotting really so good. Such young actors, really their first moulding. Ewan McGregor went from Skaghead to Jedi. That's one hell of a rehabilitation. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
So what is it about Trainspotting that's? Obviously. You've mentioned
it's just real.
There, but it is real, yeah.
It's just gritty. It's real. It showed me something which at the time I had no idea about at all. I'd never seen heroin at that point in my life. I'd never knew about it. Nothing really. I knew what it was, and I knew to stay the fuck away from it. But I never knew anything about it. So it was a real sort of experience, actually, a real eye opener.
Yeah. I do remember Trainspotting. Me and my ex-wife went to see it at the cinema, and it was the first time after my daughter was born, and the first time we went out after my daughter was born, and go to the cinema, sort of kill a couple of hours, get away from everything. And I think Sarah's mum was looking after Sarah, my ex-wife. Mum was looking after Maddie at the time, and I enjoyed the film up until about an hour in, where you see that dead baby in the
dead baby crawling along the ceiling, yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, I just wanted to go home and make sure everything's all right, because obviously I think that was back before the days of mobile.
Now that I watch it more, it affects me much more than when I watched it back then. Because obviously I was a kid when I first watched it. But I always remember before I watched Trainspotting, my mate had a rip-off poster of it called Babe Spotting with topless supermodels
I've
in it.
seen that. Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, yeah. So but just such a classic film, man. All the scenes, and having read the book is so much better as well than the film. But I still love the film. But yeah, the book as always is better than the film. But yeah, just
So you saw the film before you read the book, obviously.
I did. Yeah, yeah. I saw the film and it intrigued me so much, and I do this all the time now, where I researched it afterwards, found out about Irvine Welsh, and then read all of his books literally in 6 months. Read as many as I could to get my hands on.
Yeah.
And I still to this day read all of his books. There's maybe 5 authors who I've done that with. Him, Terry Pratchett, David Gemmell. I think I've read them all now, but he's dead, so he's not going to make any more anyway. I've read all the Tolkien books. But yeah, there's not many people that put it across so well. And it must have read as well, the book, when they decided to make a film out of it. He writes his books all in dialect, and each chapter is the story from a different person's perspective. So it reads like a fucking script anyway, for the most part.
Yeah.
So it was so easy, but yeah, just so good. Just the character of Renton by himself, someone who ultimately does want to get out of it. And is trying his best to get out of it. This absolutely horrific situation, which he's put himself in, but he's now trying to better himself and come out of it. But his environment, he knows, ultimately is going to drag him down. So, yeah. It's kind of a catch-22 situation.
It done a very good job in.
I know, I'm really
obviously
I'm sorry.
Sort of going a lot more into detail with characters.
And so is Ranger.
Nathan!
Nathan.
Please. Up you go, mate. Go on. I know. This is school night, though. Come on. No Minecraft. Come on.
This office been up for ages.
Sorted.
I think so, yeah. He's out on the step. He'll go up sooner or later.
Man, I can edit anything like that, so if we just
don't worry about that. Keep it. It's funny.
That's the outtakes, mate. Mine and John's outtakes were ridiculous. So, what was your favourite moment in Trainspotting? I mean, you mentioned there's a lot.
The monologue at the end, easily, and I had a post of that. I had a poster of that monologue in my room when I was a teenager for a long time. And I used to be able to recite, the Choose Life monologue. Let's see if I can find it now, actually.
Choose a job, choose a fucking widescreen TV.
Yeah, and it's a really good monologue.
Yeah.
Here we go. I've got it out now. The Regular Joe. Choose life. Choose a job. Choose a career. Choose a company gym. Choose a nickname. Choose a flat screen with touch remote. Choose 3D Forge. Oh no, this is somebody else has done that one.
That's not the one in the film.
No, it's not. This looks more like it. Choose life. Choose a job. Choose a career. Choose a family. Choose a fucking big television. Choose washing machines, cars, compact disc players, and electric tin can openers. Choose good health, low cholesterol, and dental insurance. Choose fixed interest mortgage repayments. Choose a starter home. Choose your friends. Choose leisure wear and matching luggage. Choose a 3-piece suite to hire on hire purchase and a range of fucking fabrics. Choose DIY and wondering who the fuck you are on a Sunday morning. Choose sing on that couch watching mind-numbing, spirit-crushing game shows stuffing fucking junk food into your mouth. Choose rowing away at the end of it all, pissing your last in a miserable home, nothing more than an embarrassment to the selfish, fucked up brats you have spawned to replace yourself. Choose your future, choose life. But why would I want to do a thing like that? I choose not to choose life. I chose something else. And the reasons? There are no reasons. Who needs reasons when you've got heroin?
Fucking genius, isn't he just?
Yeah.
Right. And like you, I think that film's littered with fantastic moments. I mean, Robert Carlyle.
Yeah, and he throws the glass over his head. That's my favourite moment.
Yeah, that bit. But I think what does stick in everybody's mind is, like you said, that monologue at the end. Was it at the end and the beginning? Was there sort of? Is it at the beginning or when he's running?
He says it at the beginning, and you
Yeah.
you see him flat down, and then at the end
Goes right into it.
I decided not to choose that. I chose something different or something along those lines.
Yeah. Genius. So, Chris, just to recap, as we all know, what was your first choice?
Train spotting.
Train spotting. Excellent.
Definitely train spotting.
Perfect. So that literally just came to your mind like that.
Yeah, straight away.
Excellent. Okay, so moving on. To bring on the desert island is
Shawshank Redemption.
confession time. I've not seen it.
Really?
Yeah.
You've not seen the highest rated film on IMDb ever?
How bad is that? I don't get me wrong, I have seen clips and I have sort of watched the last 10 minutes, or it's just one of those films where
You're not very well
I haven't got around to it, and I should, I know. So,
Stairs. Now go to bed.
fill me in. Why should I see Shawshank Redemption?
The twist. That's all I can say, because I'll ruin it if I say what the twist is. But the twist is fantastic. It's just amazing. The acting from Morgan Freeman and the relationship with Tim Robbins is just unreal as well. Really, really good. It's actually based on a short story by Stephen King called Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. Stephen King, obviously, absolutely amazing author anyway, so for that reason alone you should check it out.
Yeah.
Just a really cool story, it's
I
like,
didn't know Stephen King was involved in that.
yeah, it's his story. That's the whole point of it. Yeah, it's
Cool.
absolutely nuts. People don't. I think it's one of the most underrated, underexposed points of that film. Actually,
Yeah.
is that it's so good. I mean, the meta score for it's about 8 out of 10 or 80 out of 10. But the average rating on IMDb is 9.3 out of 10. That's pretty high for IMDb.
That's pretty high for a film that I haven't seen. Yes.
It's got
Which I'm guessing I really should rush out and watch.
yeah, I mean, it was nominated for 7 Oscars, nominated for 2 Global Globes. It won loads of stuff as well, but I don't think it actually won any Oscars, which is a real shame. I'm not sure what won the best Oscar in 1995.
It wasn't Titanic, was it?
It was Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump. Okay.
Forrest Gump, yeah, which is understanding. I mean, and it was a particularly tough year. It went up against Pulp Fiction as well.
Yeah, I was saying it was a very deep year for films then. If you've got, those two films, Pulp Fiction, obviously. Did that win any Oscars? Pulp Fiction?
That's a good question. I don't know if it did. It did. It won Best Writing Screenplay, written directly for the screen, which is Quentin Tarantino.
Which I guess would have been up against Shawshank Redemption then as well.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Frank Darabont wrote the screenplay from the book, so from the short story. Yeah, it was nominated for so many different things, but realistically, it's just one of those films. I remember watching it with my dad back in the day. My dad was impressed with it. And back in the day, my dad was a film buff.
Yeah.
There's a couple of other films. He didn't show me Trainspotting because he was appalled by it, but that was kind of his nature, if you will. Very, no, those things don't happen here, son. Don't have heroin in St. Neots.
No, that just happens in Scotland.
That's right, yeah. That's where those skirt-wearing snackheads are. So yeah, he showed me the film after he'd watched it, and it was just a fantastic show. And he used to do things like that. Like we watched RoboCop together, but he would fast forward past the bit where Murphy got blown to pieces.
Yeah.
So and then he'd allow me to watch the rest of the film, which was kind of cool.
Yeah. So would he sort of vet the film first, or?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it was just a film that just again, very character driven, very relationship driven, and like Train Spotting, where there's several relationships going on around each other. There's several relationships in Shawshank which are really important. The main one being between the two main characters and how they interact with each other.
Yeah.
I think it's I think Andy and Red. That's it, Andy and Red. And the way that they do things is just fantastic. It's really, really good.
Excellent.
It's just a film that you can keep on watching. You can come back to. You can't watch it over and over and over, but you can come back to it once a month or so and still enjoy it.
Yeah. So, what is your favourite part of it? Is it a twist or?
The twist at the end is definitely the best bit. Definitely. Yeah. The way that it all works out and the best thing about it is it explains the twist.
Yeah.
And it explains why the twist happens and stuff like that. And so often the films don't do that. There's no real connection there. But it's a really, for that reason, it's a really, really good film.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. So, your number 2 pick, just to recap, is
Shawshank Redemption.
Excellent. Okay, one that goes on my list as well. So then moving on to number 3.
This is probably the film that Laura hates the most, but I love the most. And I've watched it the most out of all of my all films. I've watched it the most, and that's Clerks by Kevin Smith.
Okay.
It was Kevin Smith's first ever film.
Yeah. That's Jay and Silent Bob, isn't it?
Yeah, and the tagline basically is just because they serve you doesn't mean they like you.
Yeah. And am I right in thinking? No, I did watch this way back in the day. Do they work in a video shop? Is that?
One of them works in a video shop.
Right. Okay.
And one of them works in like a general quick stop.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what's called the quick stop. The whole thing was shot in black and white. It was Kevin Smith's first film. He didn't know much, but he worked at this shop, so he knew what it was about. He knew what was going on, and he knew how customers would digs and stuff. And he used to play hockey on the roof of the shop, which is in there as well. And just again, it's all about relationships with people and the kind of amazingly fucked up stuff that can go on in the simple setting of a store. And it's just such a great film. So right at the start, the very first scene, he gets a phone call at like 6:30 in the morning, and his boss rings him up and he's in bed and he's like, what you want? And he's like, oh well, you need to come into work. And you can't hear it, it's just muffled, but you can hear him, and he's like, well, why didn't such and such turn up? All right, I'll come in. But if you're not there by 12, I'll walk. He comes in and somebody's jammed chewing gum in the locks, so he can't open the locks for the shutters. He has to get a great big sheet, puts some shoe polish on it, and writes, "I assure you we're open." Sticks it up on the things. And all day long, customers poke their heads in. Are you open? And all day long he says, oh, I'm not even supposed to be here today. Of course, his buddy Randall, who works next door, turns up, and he just sort of walks in. And before he goes in, he sees a woman waiting outside his video shop, and it's 11:30. And he stands next to her and he says, is this place not open yet? No, he hasn't turned up. Oh, okay. I hate it when I can't rent videos. I know, right? Bet you I'm going to get in there and get a video before you. Like hell, I was first in the queue. $10 says I will. Okay, $10, you're on. He goes next door, sees his friend, just picks up soda and chocolate and muffins and stuff. Ooh, stacky cakes. Picks them up, takes them in, gets the keys from his mate, walks in, and he gets the $10 from the woman. And it's just stupid stuff, real sort of the main guy, Dante. He's dropped out of college, he's doing this dead-end job, he doesn't want to know what he wants to do in his life. When I first started watching that, I was maybe 16, and it just really struck a chord with me, although I was in college at the time and I did finish college. I never finished university, and it was just something. I did that job when I first came out of university. I worked in a 24-hour garage. My mum still works in a 24-hour garage, and she still deals with the same arseholes. And it's just, if you've ever worked in retail, you'll understand this film so well, so well. There's a guy, one of his girlfriend comes in to interrupt it, but there's a guy there, and every time somebody says, "Oh, I'll buy a pack of smokes," he says, "Have you seen this?" And he shows them a picture of a cancer-ridden lung. And then eventually they do it, and he's got this whole mob chanting, calling him a cancer merchant, calling Dante a cancer merchant, and it turns out he works for like Wrigley's chewing gum, and he's trying to get them all to switch over to gum. That's the whole point of it. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
It sounds very dialect driven. Is it? It's based on
the dialogue in it is just fantastic as well. You know, it'll speak to anybody of the grunge generation.
Yeah,
definitely. It's just fantastic. Right down to the Russian cousin of Silent Bob, who comes in and wants to be a Russian death metal singer and stuff.
So, right, James, obviously they went off to do their spin-off film, but are they big characters in Clerks, or are they just like big characters?
They're side characters, really, to the main story, as they are throughout all of his films. They're in all of them, and they do a great job.
What's the one with Ben Affleck? That was quite entertaining. Which one?
Jersey Girl?
No, it's
Mallrats.
Mallrats, yeah.
Yeah, they're in that. That was the film that came after Clerks. And the whole universe, all of those films that he made, apart from Jersey Girl, they're all connected and they all have in-jokes between them. So even down to his buddies who now run a comic book shop for him in New Jersey, a guy called Walt Whitman. Silent J says, "Shit, I haven't been this fucked up since I saw Walt Whitman's dog get run over." Dozens.
A couple of films ago.
Yeah, with dozens and dozens of little in jokes about that kind of stuff that happened there. So yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Quality. So your favourite part of Clue? I mean, there's obviously not a standout moment.
There is easily. There is.
Yeah.
The guy goes to the toilet, and before he goes to the toilet, it's supposed to be a staff toilet. He says, "Have you got something to read in there, young man?" The old guy says, "Oh yeah, here's a newspaper." He says, "Something more adult? What?" And he gets him a porno mag. No, I like the ones with the big titties. And he goes in the toilet and he turns the light off. Fine, and you forget all about it for about half an hour. And Dante's ex-girlfriend, who he still holds a candle for, turns up, thinks that Dante's in the toilet, and the lights are off, and he fucks him. The dead guy. The guy has died, and he's got a raging hard-on still because he died with a raging hard-on. You don't see any of that happening or anything like that, but you get the gist of it later on.
You can just use your imagination.
Yeah, and it's just incredibly, and his buddy Randall's still sitting there cracking jokes about it afterwards. It's just hilarious the way it's portrayed. It's just absolutely hilarious, like the situation of it. So yeah, that's easily the standout scene.
Brilliant. Okay, so just to recap before we move on, what's your third pick?
Clerks.
Excellent. So that can go on your desert island with you, Chris. Or my desert island with us.
Yeah.
So moving on to pick number 4.
This is a film I haven't watched in a while, actually, and I thought about it, and it's still a favourite of mine, and that's Aliens. It was my first real introduction to sci-fi in films.
Yeah.
Outside of the Transformers, which we will come
on to. Just spoiler.
Yeah. So Aliens, definitely. I don't know. It was such a good film for the time, and the more I've thought about it, the more I've wanted to go and watch it now. It's just such a big, badass film, you know, and it's a very gung ho marine film and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun as well. And I remember being really disappointed when my dad rented Alien 3, and we watched it.
No
And we were like,
guns, no nothing.
it was okay, but it wasn't Aliens. It wasn't as scary as the first Alien, and it wasn't as action-packed as Aliens. So it was just like, well, what are you? You know, and it was just a bit weird. And then Alien Resurrection just took a shit on the entire franchise. And Alien vs Predator, I don't even want to talk about. So,
Do you know what? I quite enjoyed Aliens Resurrection. Not because it was an Aliens film, just because the film itself is.
it was fine right up until she had an alien child,
Yeah,
a
pathetic.
half-breed.
I'll give you that bit.
To me, I was just like, yeah, you're never making another Aliens film.
No.
But Prometheus, I love.
So do you think well, there is going to be sequels to Prometheus, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. We enjoyed Prometheus a lot, didn't we, when we watched it? The guy from there reminded me of something out of a Tool video. But yeah, no, Aliens, just full-on action. Loved the imagery. I had a friend at university afterwards who was really into Geiger and the imagery and showed me some stuff, and it's just a really cool thing that can be expanded on so much.
Yeah.
And although I shit on Alien vs Predator, I do love the arcade game Alien vs Predator. It's a great beat 'em up.
The cracker, isn't it? Yeah, it's good. It's good. So, come back to Aliens. What obviously Aliens is just this action fest. I mean, in regards to storyline and everything, what did you think about the storyline? Obviously going back and
the storyline's fine. They're going along to try and find this colony, and she's very apprehensive about it and tells them that it won't happen and all the rest. And you can tell what's going to happen from the start. It's not very plot heavy.
No.
But the characters in there are really cool. You know, Hudson. They're all funny guys, and there's got to be, if you ask people some of the most memorable lines in movies, you know, outside of the Arnie quotes, one of them's got to be, "Game over, man! It's game over."
And he goes all high pitched and everything. It's like he doesn't just say it. It's game over, man! Game over! You know, he's that was pathetic.
He's really put into it. And then there's the scene where there's two of them. They're in a shoot together, and he pulls off a grenade pin and he holds it so he can knock out loads of aliens because he knows he's done for anyway.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff. You know, it's Ripley and the great big robot thing. That's the yellow, like the forklift, kind of humanized forklift. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I think one of my favourite parts now is when they first encounter the aliens and they're all sort of messing around. They've got their cameras on their helmet.
They see it and they're all over. I quite like the scene where she finds the girl as well. That was quite emotional, I thought.
That was in the special edition. That was really sort of expanded on, wasn't it? The whole what was her name?
I can't remember. That's terrible.
Newt. It was Newt, wasn't it?
That's it, Newt. Yeah.
Newt, yeah. So that was really, because obviously the special edition is that much longer, but it kind of shows you a bit about their colony and shows you about you know, parents and what they're doing there and everything. That's a really good watch, but I think Cameron wanted to take it back to just all action, all guns blazing, marine type film, which it certainly works. I think it got a lot of people hooked on Aliens.
You know, it's one of the few films where people will tell you that the sequel's better than the original.
Yeah, completely. Yeah,
that's an achievement in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So finest moments in Aliens. Big one.
Definitely where they're showing. She tells them about how they don't go to places where it's cold. So like she's taught the Marines something. Where they all figure out that actually he's not a Marine and that he's like a mercenary. The corporal guy. So that was really, and it just changes the whole psychology of the film suddenly.
Yeah.
There's a few, and when he's waiting in the aircraft carrier, the aliens obviously in there. He doesn't realise, and it's too late. That to me is perfection in shock. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. You know, again, there's so many great moments. I think for me, like I was going to say earlier,
The flamethrower with the eggs.
yeah, when they first encounter the aliens and Hudson's there with his little beepometer, where one of the little spots come into view, and then suddenly
It's almost a Jaws moment, isn't it?
Say again.
It's almost a Jaws moment, but instead of having the music, you've got the beats.
Completely, yeah, and obviously you can't see anything until the last minute, and by that time it's a bit too late. So,
It's game over, man.
Game over, man. Game over. Okay, so just to recap, your number 4 film,
Aliens.
fantastic film. So, moving on, number 5.
This is a film that I actually have, which is a little odd for me because I have like a dozen DVDs, if that, and that's Transformers the animated movie.
Fantastic film. With Transformers the animated movie, is this more a memory thing, or is this
No, still love it.
film?
Still love it. Absolutely,
Yeah.
still love it. Watched it not so long ago with my kids,
Yeah.
who watched it all the way through.
Excellent. What did they think of it?
They enjoyed it, yeah, definitely. Nathan always associates himself with bad guys, so he really likes Megatron.
Yeah.
And later Galvatron.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he really enjoyed it actually. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. You know, again, for me, it's memories. It's it's when you're growing up. I remember renting it a couple of times off the video van that used to come around. But yeah, a friend of mine bought it, and I'm pretty sure that's one of the rare films that I've watched 3 times in a day before. Where you just sit there.
It was always the thing. We used to go to Choice's video. My dad didn't even have to ask me what video I wanted. I would always say, Transformers the movie, yeah, always. And eventually he bought it for me because he figured it would be
cheaper, yeah. Excellent. So, in regards to favourite moment, is that?
It's not my favourite moment, but it's definitely the first time I remember crying to a film as a little boy. When Optimus Prime died, definitely hit me.
Yeah. You're not alone there, mate. I'm sure of it.
That was pretty big, you know. And I remember when I first watched it, and I'd watched Transformers up to that point.
Yeah.
And so there were a bunch of new characters because they'd never introduced like Hot Rod, Cup, RC, Springer, Ultra Magnus. They'd never been introduced, so you got to know them. And then suddenly, fucking here's your hero dead. Literally, my hero when I was 6 or 7 was Optimus Prime, and I was like, what the fuck?
Is that not reason
he was dead? No, not at all. It added something, and the end just before the credits, he says, "And the greatest Autobot of them all, Optimus Prime, will rise again." And I was like,
oh, yes!
Come
on! Exactly. I'll change the question a little bit here then.
Go on then.
No, actually, I know the answer. Apart from Optimus Prime, who's your favourite Transformer?
Oh, no. Optimus Prime isn't my favourite Transformer.
Oh, is he not?
No, it's Grimlock. And Grimlock had a great role in that film. Grimlock was the T-Rex Dinobot leader.
Hold on. Right, is he in Dark Side of the Moon or whatever it's called?
He's in the new one, yeah.
Yeah.
The Age of Extinction.
That's the one, yeah.
Optimus Prime rides him into battle.
Right.
But in the original film, he was just basically he was this giant brute, but he was very, very strong. So the first time you see him in a film, Optimus Prime sends them down against a team of Decepticons who had combined into one giant Decepticon called Devastator, and they managed to do a little bit of damage to Devastator, which is immense.
Yeah.
And then they have a really cool starring role where they go along with Hot Rod, the film's protagonist, in many ways, and he gets all the Sharkticons to kill the Quintessons, and he just does very many cool things. You know, He really just kicks the crap out of lots of stuff. And he's awesome in that film. He's really, really good. But the real thing that really surprises people about Transformers the movie is the cast they had. It was the last ever film that Oscar Wilde was in, or that he voiced. One came out later, but he voiced this one last. Sorry. There's Leonard Nimoy as Galvatron.
Yeah.
There's Judd Nelson as Hot Rod.
Why is she in the bedroom?
Judd Nelson from The Breakfast Club.
Yeah. And the guy who voiced Optimus Prime back then still voices him now. So that's kind of cool.
In the films or in the cartoon?
Yeah, in the films. And so he's the only guy who stayed the same voice all the way through.
Yeah.
He did a bunch of other voices in there as well. But the fun fact of the film is that, well, not fun, but Orson Welles died halfway through filming. So the person who took over Unicron's voice, the main bad guy, this all-devouring planet that would eat up other planets and life beings and stuff to become all-powerful again.
Yeah.
So Orson Welles was doing that, and halfway through doing his voicing, he died out of the blue. So Leonard Nimoy had to take over. So it's a really strange thing, but he did it anyway, and yeah.
That's rather inconsiderate of him, isn't it?
I thought so. Why ruin the greatest film ever?
I'm actually looking at Grimlock on Google, Chris, and there's an image of Optimus Prime riding Grimlock on his neck, which is amusing.
He was really a badass in the new movie, much more than he originally was.
Yeah.
But I don't mind at all. He's really cool, and it's kind of how I guess a lot of people did imagine him.
Yeah.
Originally, he's a very cool Transformer, and in the comics and stuff, which I started reading when I was around 17, 18, Grimlock actually for a while used to lead the Autobots when Prime was imprisoned and stuff, and led them into battle several times and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of he's an interesting character that gets dumbed down in the animated film, but for the betterment, shall we say. And
you know what he looks like? He looks like a Zoid. Do you remember Zoids?
Yeah, this is how I remember Grimlock from back in the day.
I'll pop a picture up here as well.
So yeah, that's how I remember him. But he's not like that anymore, of course.
Have you? No, you know what? I'm looking at pictures of him in the film as well, the new film, and he looks fucking mean as shit. So,
yeah, he's just badass now.
Yeah. Have you seen the new film?
I have. Yeah. It's
Any
very,
good?
very, very good. Yeah, I like the films. A lot of Transformers fans or people who consider themselves fans or whatever don't like the films.
Yeah.
But I really do, and as long as you don't take them all, they'll destroy my childhood, then they're fine.
Yeah.
You don't need to. You really don't need to worry about it so much.
Yeah, I agree. I'm like that at all.
It's the same as the Turtles and all these other childhood things. If they did something with He-Man or something like that, then Dolph Lundgren did that back in the day, didn't he? But it's a different. You got to think of it as a different thing.
Yeah. All right, brilliant. So, just to recap, your fifth film you're bringing to
Transformers Animated, the animated movie.
With the rather inconsiderate Orson Welles. Right, so moving on to number 6.
This is the first film that got me interested in anime, and I happened upon it because I had a SNES with Street Fighter 2, and so I got Street Fighter 2, the animated film. Really an anime made for the Western world in many respects. So it follows a loose path of the storyline of Street Fighter 2. So it follows Ryu and Ken and stuff as they travel around the world fighting. It does have the characters from the World Warrior in, so Kami's in it, T-Hawk's in it, DJ, and Bruce Lee.
Right.
Balon. So they're all in it. But yeah, it follows those guys, and it follows like street fighting around the world. So you see a fight between E Honda and Dao Sim, for example, between Blanca and Zangief. The first fight you see is actually the end of the supposed ending of the original Street Fighter, which is Ryu versus Sagat, who's the end boss in Street Fighter. So yeah, it's kind of a film that led me on to many great things.
Yeah,
definitely.
Good call. I do remember myself watching that. I can't remember anything about it, to be honest with you. So I may have to dig that out somewhere and give that a watch.
The special moves were very much a build-up in it, so they weren't like every spamming fireballs or anything like that. It was a real big thing.
Proper fight.
Yeah. So lots of martial arts in it and stuff like that. So they actually did a great job with Sagat's Muay Thai. Or Muay Thai. What is it? Muay Thai?
Muay Thai, isn't it?
Muay Thai, yeah, the kickboxing style that he does versus the Shatokan of Ryu. So yeah, it's very it's a great watch actually. Great watch.
Yeah, no, it sounds it. And your favourite partner? Obviously, there's a sort of standout film.
Yeah, there's a scene where Vega goes to kill Chun-Li, and she manages to knock his mask off and cut his face, and he becomes that enraged that he goes absolutely fucking skits because she's hurt his beautiful face.
Yeah, he's perfect, isn't he?
Yeah, that's right. And so that fight scene was probably the best fight scene in the film, I thought.
Excellent. Okay, mate. So just to recap on number 6 is
Street Fighter 2 animated.
Excellent. And then moving on to number 7.
This is another anime actually. I've had 3 animation films, which is kind of odd, I suppose. I don't know. This is probably the greatest anime of all time, in my opinion.
Spirited Away.
No, it's Akira.
Right, I'm having some of that. Yeah, fully agree with you, mate, on that.
Akira was the film that I watched after Street Fighter 2 animated, and in a way, I kind of spoilt myself because nothing that I've watched since has come close, anime-wise.
Yeah,
I've watched a lot of anime films, and I've read. The thing about Akira is it leaves so much open for you to explore, and there are these 6 tomes, and I'm not going to call them manga because they're not, because they're like that thick of manga that you can read. And if you read through them, you read all about Canada's involvement with the Clown Gang at the start. Their past and they're growing up together, all kinds of stuff. But Akira's really, the whole of Akira is just basically one giant analogy of puberty. It's all about young boys coming of age.
Yeah.
And the lead character, Tetsuo, is so bound up and so angst-ridden that his explosions, which metamorphosis in ways of psychic and kinetic powers, become that much more empowered because of his encroaching puberty, because he's coming of age. And it was a great film to get into it, and it led me on to so many other good films like Ghost in the Shell, Vampire Hunter D, Skill Shot, Princess Mononoke, later Spirited Away, House Moving Castle, all of these great films. Even and then you go back before Akira, and you kind of see the difference between what I'd call the older anime, sort of from the 70s and the early 80s, to the new anime from Akira and beyond.
Yeah.
So the stuff, and you can still watch it now, but it doesn't touch it. It's just an incredible film. The lens flare in there was just phenomenal. The favourite scene in it has to be the bike chase near the beginning.
Yeah.
Where Canada's on this souped up red futuristic superbike, and he's just they're fighting the Clown Gang and stuff and beating the shit out of this other gang. And it's just such a good film with so many more analogies, and Canada becomes you know, he's got his own struggle going on because he's trying to chase down this girl that he loves, and he's using his bullshit to get through life.
Yeah.
It's just such a good film. You can just watch it. Every time you watch a film like Akira, you always gain something new out of it. You always see something that you didn't see before. Whether it's the backgrounds in it were incredibly detailed and they took so long to do, and there's like advertisements which roll around on them and they're always different and stuff like that. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, it is a great film. Like you said with the manga film, I think my favourite standout one is Spirited Away. I think I was possibly one of the first. Oh no, it wasn't one of the. I watched. Do you remember Legend of the Overfeed? Fiend.
Legend of the Overfeed, yeah. Roch Chiquito.
That's the one. Yeah, no, I couldn't pronounce that, so I'll leave that to you. But yeah, that was one of the first ones. But Spirited Away for me was just what a story and how it sort of came about, and some of it doesn't make sense, but if you look into it, it makes perfect sense. And you know, I just love films like that. So, okay, you told me your favourite part. That's fine. Your number 7 pick, Chris, is
Akira.
Perfect. So we're almost done for your films that you've seen, and you bring to Desert Island. We've got one more to go, and that is number 8.
That is again sticking to the Eastern theme here. Battle Royale.
Great film. Okay, can you tell me why Battle Royale?
I'd never seen anything so hyper-violent in my life before.
Yeah, violence does win.
And the fact that they then did it with teenagers as well, and you were like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
Basically, just about everybody's seen the Hunger Games. If you take Hunger Games and you ramp it up to 10, that's what Battle Royale is.
Yeah.
But you add in more of a political storyline. So the storyline to Battle Royale is much more believable than Hunger Games because the Hunger Games world hasn't happened yet. Whereas in Battle Royale, it's somewhere in I think it's Japan. Yeah, it's Japan. Sorry. Basically, there's been an uprising amongst young people because they're that fed up with the world and they're that fed up with what the government set out, which could happen in China. Yeah, could. Or North Korea. North Korea is probably the closest that comes to it at the minute.
Or Scotland.
Or Scotland, absolutely. Imagine North Korea, there's an uprising that's mostly led by a youth movement. The uprising gets put down, but to make sure that never happens again, they have they have these televised events where they choose a class from a school, and that class has to go on an island together. They must fight each other, and basically they have collars where if they try and escape or whatever, the collars will explode and kill them. So they all get given a bag at the start with some basic essentials and then one speciality item. So the speciality item might be a gun, or it might be a compass, or it might be an axe, or it could be poison. And so you see all these dynamics playing out through the film. So like some of them group together, and then one of them decides that they're going to use poison to kill them. And some of them decide they don't want to take part, so they commit suicide. Some of them fight. Some of them try and stay apart and do other things, which I'm not going to because it is towards the end. And then what they also have is they have guys that they bring in who are previous winners to add a bit of
spice,
a bit of electricity. And these guys, yeah, they get given the guns, you know, the fully automatic rifles and stuff, because that way it's easier.
Yeah.
You know, and they can go out and around. So it's kind of interesting. I wasn't as much of a fan of the second one. I still enjoyed it, but I thought the Battle Royale one was more or less pitch perfect.
Yeah.
You know, I thought it was a very, very well done film.
It was a unique story as well, back then.
Again, yeah, based on a book.
Yeah, like like you said, the Hunger Games obviously very close. things like the Running Man, and you know, where it's kind of like you're being hunted by superior humans as such, you know, or people with different weapons, or you know, the actual advantage upon you. So
again, the Running Man comes back. It's a sci-fi novel by Stephen King.
Yeah. And there was a French film that the Running Man was based on, or loosely based on. I cannot remember what it was called, but I remember missing it one evening. My mum telling me how good it was, and telling me it was exactly like the Running Man. So, and there is connections on that as well. So,
yeah, it's just one of those things where you can actually imagine it's quite close to happening. You know, it's not a million miles away.
Well, 2020, wasn't it? The Running Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's the battle royale, the whole premise of it, the way the characters react to each other as well was just fantastic. Fantastic.
Excellent. And any sort of there's a lot of standout moments. Seen it, so any sort of standout moments that you care to?
The suicide where they jumped off a cliff together hit me pretty hard. I think that was probably one of them. And there is a moment where at the end where somebody dies. I'm not going to elaborate more than that, but right at the end, and there's a boat, and one of them dies, and that's kind of a heartfelt moment.
Yeah, it's quite poignant, isn't it? So
yeah.
Okay, perfect. So then that is your 8 films, and just to recap, what was your 8 pick?
Battle Royale.
Lovely. So that's your 8 films, Chris. We're now going to move on, as you know, to the 2 films that you haven't seen and really should have seen by now.
Yeah.
So
there are a lot of films that I should have seen by now.
No, mate. You only get 2 in this bank.
I know.
So I've got my.
One of the series, one of the genres that I don't watch much of is horror. We watched through all of the Saw films together, didn't we, love? Horror. We watched through all of the Saw films together, from back to front, like one film a night kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was some fun dreams that weekend. But I found them very clever, the Saw films, the way that the stories went back to each other and stuff. Although there were some plot holes and stuff, it was a very, very clever setup. So the 2 films, of course, are horror films. I haven't watched, but I know I should watch them.
Is it Saw that you're bringing, or?
No, it's Friday the 13th. I've never seen it.
Now, right, I've got to say this for everybody that sort of doesn't know me that well. Horror is my thing, and for somebody to be sat in front of me telling me they haven't seen Friday the 13th is frankly disgusting, Christopher.
Yeah, well, it's just one of those series that I've never been interested in. I've got one of those genres, that kind of shock horror kind of thing. You know, I'm not going to mention the other one, but I haven't seen Tommyknockers. I haven't seen Poltergeist. I haven't seen any of these big films.
You know what? I'm unfortunate with these films. Even Friday the 13th, dated to hell, and it's. I was watching it on the Horror Channel.
Isn't there a remake of Friday the 13th?
There is, and that's. It's actually a really good film. So yeah, maybe skip Friday the 13th and then go to Friday the 13th, the remake.
See, I was up until about a week ago. I would have bought with me the second and third Evil Dead films. But I watched them. I'd watched the first one a while ago.
Yeah.
Again, it wasn't my thing, but I did watch it. But the second and third one, yeah, and I have seen The Exorcist. I'll give you that.
Good man. So the second Evil Dead is basically a remake, isn't it? It's just got a lot more humour and obviously an ending to it. So
the third one's more or less a bloody comedy.
Yeah. what brings you to make the decision that you want to take Friday the 13th? Is
Well, I think it's a film that I'm going to watch soon, regardless of if I end up on your island or not. It's just a classic film, and it's one of the films, where people talk about Casablanca, or they talk about Trainspotting, or they talk about Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, or The Avengers is probably up there now amongst those great big films.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park, Terminator 2, Aliens, all these classic films through the ages. Clockwork Orange, and it's just a film that I haven't seen and that seems to fit in there quite well.
Yeah.
Okay. It's the same as the other one.
Okay, which we're going to move on to, but just to recap, your first pick that you haven't seen,
Friday the 13th.
Fucking shocking. And and your second pick, Chris, and your second and your last pick
is Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh God!
See, I knew it.
Yeah, I don't know why. Okay, I'll give you an olive branch.
Ironically, I've watched Freddy vs. Jason.
So.
Oh really?
No.
I've watched Freddy vs. Jason. That's about as close as it goes.
And did you enjoy that?
No, I don't think anybody enjoyed that from what I've seen.
I did. I quite liked it.
Well, it's one of those. So I know the characters.
Yeah. Do you know anything about when you say you haven't seen Nightmare on Elm Street? Do you mean you haven't seen any of the Nightmare on Elm Street? And you don't sort of know the story to Freddy?
I don't know any of it at all.
The story's actually really good. It's actually really, really good. Basically, he was a kiddie fiddler. He was Jimmy Savile back in the 80s. And it was 80s, wasn't it? Of course it was. And a bunch of parents basically found out that he was kiddie fiddling or kiddie murdering, should I say? Not doing the guy any disjustice. You understand? And basically go and burn him, and obviously that's where he gets all his scars and everything. So to get revenge on the parents, he basically comes forth in the dreamland and attacks their children to sort of gain his revenge. So
he's gaining revenge for them gaining revenge.
Exactly. So it's that's exactly it. So and there's actually a really good twist in the remake, which then twists back on itself. Basically, it's sort of I don't think I'm giving away too much here. But obviously he gets burned and so on and so forth. And it turns out that he didn't do the kids. But then it turns out, actually, no. Spoiler alert, sorry. I was going to shut my mouth now. Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street, what
I'm not going to watch it now.
No, go, yeah, no, that's me and my big mouth. So, Robert England, how do you pronounce it? He's got a U in it, so I'm going to go with England. But the only thing I remember him being in before that was V, the TV series. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
The old lizards that come from space.
There are other films and stuff like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've never seen that, which is one that I really want to watch with Leatherface. But yeah, it's always horror with me. I always don't watch horror just because it doesn't. I am a real scaredy cat. Laura, we were watching what was it, Event Horizon, but I just walked away because I couldn't watch it. I shit my pants. I really do. It's not my. It's really not my thing.
There were a few moments in Event Horizon that I had sort of what I do as soon as I start getting scared, I look at the corner of the telly. So I can kind of see what's going on, but I'm not directly looking at his face.
I do remember I went to see a great horror film in the cinema, and I really enjoyed it. It was Jeepers Creepers.
Oh yeah. Me and the wife love that, and I believe there's a third in the offing as well. So
I haven't seen the second, but I went to see the first in the cinema, and I really enjoyed it. It was really clever.
Yeah. And that's not a sort of scary horror. It's more kind of teeny type.
Yeah. I was 14, 15 at the time. So yeah. It was age appropriate, and The Faculty, that was another great one that I loved.
Well, yeah, what a great film The Faculty is. Yeah.
Yeah, that could have made my top 8, but not quite.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Excellent. So we are taking as our guest videos or films, so to say, because obviously we've got a Blu-ray player on this desert island. We are taking Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, the originals.
The originals.
The originals. So, Chris, have you got any honourable mentions? Obviously, you've gone through a few there. Anything?
Yeah. One that's we watched sort of recently. I love kung fu films of any type. Laura's really into it. Now, the best 2 kung fu films I've ever seen are Ip Man and Ip Man 2 with Donnie Yen, which are just I don't think that they've gained enough recognition. So yeah, definitely Ip Man and Ip Man 2, just outstanding fight scenes, really, really cool story behind it. It's the guy that trained Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
I can't say enough about the fight scenes. They're just out of this world. They're just the best fight scenes I've ever seen, easily.
So something to look forward to then, or something to look forward to watching.
Have you seen it now?
No, and I'll be totally honest, you've not heard of it. So
Ip Man and Ip Man 2, you're in for a treat. Just absolutely amazing. And the Bruce Lee is very briefly in the second one.
Oh, okay.
Not actual Bruce Lee, but the child image of Bruce Lee.
Excellent.
So yeah.
Very cool. Brilliant. So that kind of wraps things up, Chris, for our films and everything. Thank you so much for being on, mate.
Thank you for having me.
I've got some good news. You can come on my desert island.
Hooray! And watch horror films.
There's going to be lots of horror films, mate, because there's going to be lots of people on my island. And there's going to be one segment with films and one segment with games, because remember, I don't rip off anything. I don't rip off anybody's channel or ideas.
You're doing the 2 plump cunts soon, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. The 2 fat bastards with double S on the end.
With a Z.
Oh, I like that idea. That's next week, though. So, Chris, thank you very much for being on, mate. Have you got any last wise words?
Yeah, if you love a film, find out if there's a book, and read the book. Because as great as films are, the books are always better. And that can be said for all of the films in this that I've mentioned tonight. The books are fantastic. And do the other stuff as well. You know, Aliens has a great comic book series along with it. Transformers had a great comic book series. Has had several great comic book series along with it. The Alien versus Predator stuff does. But yeah, just do it. Just research. If you're watching this, you've got the internet, so yeah, research.
Wise words from a wise man.
If you have any suggestions, let me know. Not horror though, because I'm not a fan.
I heard that. Well, thank you very much for watching, guys, and we will catch you next time. Again, if you want to appear on Desert Island Films, please do let me know. PM me, leave a comment.
It should be Desert Island Movie, Steve. Then you could call it DIM.
Something for the future, mate. That's my next project. What could be dip? Desert Island Places. We could do
Desert Island Cunt.
Dick. We could do Dick without the K. Dick. Desert Island Cunts.
Yeah.
And on that note, thanks for watching, guys.
Cheers. Bye bye.